Welcome to PAO Fans International. We joined first appearance of the season, Panathafan, and we got Nick. Welcome, boys.
Good to be on.
Use search.
It's a bit colder here, and I'm just struggling a bit with the allergies and the coughs, so do bear with me in today's episode. Um, we've just got news, obviously. Player transfer almost pretty much official, hasn't been formalized by the club yet, but it's imminent. But let's kick things off, and as news come regarding potential European opponents, we'll discuss this during the pod as well as the formal announcement. But let's get straight into it. Botev Plivdov um, second leg 4-0 win away. It was also a 6-1 aggregate, courtesy of, I'd like to say, Djuricic 2 goals, but they did deem
Yeah.
his first strike as own goal. You've got Jeremeff as well that got a double. One, thankfully, that VAR didn't rule out either. So, boys, what did you think of the result and performances? Let's get straight to it.
Fire away, Banatha.
Thank you. It's good to be back, boys, after a bit of a break. So, pleasure joining you as always to talk about our beloved club. In terms of the game, I think it's fair to say that look, it was a great result. That's the obvious thing, and I think the way we played, it was very pleasing in a large part, and the contrast is the first leg as well. Which is good to see. Which was obviously with the first leg, we dropped off in that second half, and what they've lots did were quite dangerous in that second time. But we really didn't see that play out in this second leg. And I'd say that it comes down to the starting 11 that we had, and also getting a bit of a run in the team as well after that first game too. So uh, the starting 11 for me was of killer interest. I think that the choices we made were the right ones, and it was reflected on the way we played on the pitch as well. And it's love to dissect that further for you boys. But certainly, I found that the midfield clicked better. And at the end of the day, how can I not mention the bloke that's behind me on my wallpaper there, Mr. Goal to minute ratio, Jeremeff. I mean, enough said.
Is he your favourite player at the moment?
Well, it'd have to be right up there. And I say that for two reasons, Nick. One, I think it was this pod that probably called it out first before anyone. We've discussed him in terms of the contribution that he's been making from day one. Secondly, look, he's on peanuts. He's probably on the lowest wage or salary compared to just about all the squad. Happy to, outside of youth players, obviously.
That's a good point.
Um, no fuss, no complaints, no issues. And yeah, we may say that he scores goals against your Califers and your Stella Tripoli type of matches, but in a European game to score in the first leg and another 2 goals in the second leg, can't ask much more than that, can we?
No, he does his job. His job's to score. He's a poacher in that box, and you give him half a chance, he's going to bury it even more than 9 times out of 10, 9.5, 10 out of 10. He'll put him
And
away. Like, it's a shame. We'll get on to previews and that his all round game, but when you present him with a chance like that, the first goal to get this route of Botev Plivdov started, what a finish!
it's a good point you make. And look, I think, well, fair's fair. I thought the keeper was not much chop, and I think Sturge, you called that out pre-games in terms of that was going to be the weak spot, and I think that showed up in that first goal in terms of his positioning. Uh, Going back to your point, Nick, I think the killer instinct of Jeremejev and the second goal as well, how he saw the through ball, took it, nice little dink past the keeper into the bottom corner. That was just a class goal, class finish. And then if I think about who our second striker is, who's meant to be ahead of him, being Sporer, like, you would not picture him being able to achieve that in the same way. And if anything, I remember there was in the second half, I think it was Mladenovic had a cross in from the byline, and Sporar managed to get past the keeper, but he just fumbled it, and then he didn't get a clear shot on goal, and he kicked it into the side net. Call me biased, but I think Jeremeff's first touch would have been better and would have had a better shot of actually getting a clear shot on goal.
You
But
made a
take
good
that.
point, though. He's on a lot less than Sportard. He's overtaken him in the pecking order, and
Yep.
you need those players in a squad that are no fuss, like low maintenance.
And when it comes to player transfers and all that, and if Sporar goes, who do we replace? Yeah, I think now we've got to consider: do we go for someone who's going to give Forty sort of really good competition, or do you settle on maybe being the second striker and then someone who's more of a prospect, young youth player? No, I mean we'll talk about that later. Coming back to the game itself, I mean, you can't say that he was the sole shining light. I think it was a great contribution all around. Look forward to getting your thoughts on various players, including Djuricic, where obviously he made a very big contribution to the game as well.
Man
Yeah.
of the match.
Yeah, it's and we'll talk more about Jeremeff, but yeah, something about Swedish strikers and Panathinaikos. So Berg, Jeremeff. But yeah, we'll talk more about that soon. But yeah, the performance was a complete performance. I expected this kind of a performance at home, to be honest. This was the expectation. When I did the review on looking at Botev, they weren't a good team, and I did make that comment. I don't think they're a good team. And I think having that class on the performance with that performance, I should say, justify that. So it's funny that the two players that were ruled out due to illness, Bart and Vilena, were the two players that were essentially booed by our fans, which rightful or wrong, definitely believe it's wrong. Were obviously replaced by Ingerson and Sharon, and the team just looked better structured defensively and with how the ball was moving. It felt like we had an actual proper ball player in that midfield that could move the ball, and defense just looked more solid. We just I don't recall really any chances that we actually looked threatened. I think there was a loose pass by Arao at one point, but it just got cleaned up straight away. In that first leg, we did that loose pass and they scored. So there's a big key difference there between the quality of defenders that we had in that second leg. Just a big upgrade, Ingerson on Bart, in my opinion. Yeah, the performance was complete performance. We saw the introduction of Tete, 30-minute cameo. When I saw him come on, that first touch that he did was a wayward pass straight to the Botev player, and I was like, thinking to myself, all right, we might have like a Rocks and Diamonds player, but then he produced three class passes and not one was an assist. So one was to our boy Jeremeff, who from the floor, he just passed it to Jeremeff and he could only get his shot straight at the keeper with it. There was also a classy ball to Limnios, where Limnios should have scored in my all three should have
Yeah.
been goals. And then the other one to Sporter as a striker, you expect him to score. And once again, he didn't finish it. The keeper saved it. So Dete was robbed of not just one assist but three assists. But yeah, I think he's going to be a class act on that right wing. If he just showed that, imagine what he can do with a better left winger, or a starting left winger and a 40 type player. If 40 stays on, if another striker does come in, so we'll see more of Tete's quality there. But yeah, overall, complete performance, really good performance. Very happy with it, and with that, we progressed to the third round of the Europa League. Um, when the name got announced, Ajax, I think I put the tweet up that I thought it was the worst case scenario for that pot that we were in. Yes, um, We avoided Braga. That's the positive thing. What do you guys think?
We're still underdogs. I mean, we're still going to be the outsiders. They're not what they used to be. They're still that you got to how I'll phrase this is we shouldn't fear them, but we've got to respect them. When I say we shouldn't fear them, especially in that first leg, if we're any chance, because I do think we're, despite all their issues, even though we've got our own, we'll be, for us, if we want to progress to the playoff round in Europa, we're going to need to take a lead to the Netherlands for the second leg. So this first leg's key. So don't fear them. Go out and play our game, Alonso style, which we're seeing. Everything he's mentioned, for the most part, it's translating onto the pitch. So we've got to play our game in front of our fans, in front of a big crowd, bring the fans into it early on, that high energy, that vertical, get the ball quick through the lines, through, defense, midfielder up to attack. And that man in your photo is going to have to be key. I think he's going to go with the same lineup. So Djuricic's big role to play if we want to get through, and especially if we want to win this game. This summer, Djuricic is just a totally different player, isn't he? Last year was the same against who was that Ukrainian team? What were they called again?
The Dnipro.
Dnipro, yeah. He was the same. He scored a couple of goals and he was on fire. Then, as the season progressed, the wheels fell off there. Hopefully, he just keeps going and he gives us an extra. He can, at least, at the very least, become a valuable squad player that's able to cover a couple of different roles. And yeah, as I said, especially for this game, I don't envisage any changes from the Botev Plivdov second leg. So he's going to be key. Jeremeff as well is going to be key. Said in this game, because the Ajax midfield is a step up from Botev Plivdov. Maybe more minutes for Tete, maybe even a start for Tete. That I think in my mind is the only one that might come in for a start, just to give us something different from the off. But the rest is going to be as you were. As I said, we've got to bring the fans into it, and they've opened. So the bottom, basically the bottom tier is essentially fully sold out, and the top tier is open. So hopefully they keep releasing more tickets in more bays as time comes.
I think Nicky touched on Sharon, and for me, outside of Juricic and Jeremejev as standout players in that second leg, I thought that him and his inclusion in the midfield was a big difference from the
Yeah,
first
well,
leg.
over Villena, that's
Yeah,
huge.
absolutely. And I think that, obviously with his good performances in the Euros, and he didn't need a pre-season. He was playing every 4 games in the Euros, where
Yeah,
we pretty much ran non-stop for 90 minutes in just about all the games, if I recall correctly.
man
And
of the match against England.
yeah, yeah, mind you, that England team barely created any chances as well.
Yeah,
But still, the guy was a machine. He was running around, and I thought that he was a big difference or value add. And I think against Ajax, we really need him. Um, I haven't seen enough of Maximizic yet to form a strong view as to whether he should be starting over Cherin. I think Cherin's certainly got the runs on board for me to be starting 11 at this point. Um, and the interesting question about Mancini versus Tete, yeah, I'm not sure at this stage. Like I think that Mancini's got his limitations. He created value for us. He wasn't bad. I'm not saying he was bad at all, but we may need that X factor.
yeah. If there's anyone that comes in for a start, it's going to be Tete, I think. No, Maximovic, I can see off the bench again.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting on that right wing because Mancini did play well. He got that assist for Juricic's goal. Selfless as well. He could have taken a shot in the box, but he just saw the easy option to just square the ball to Juricic. I did the high level review of Ajax
Yeah.
of their current situation. Everyone knows who Ajax is. There's no point for me to have delved into who they are, everything like that. My opinion is that we get the first leg win, we progress to the next round. I'm very confident with what I saw from Ajax, especially against Vojvodina over the 2 legs, what they presented, albeit without Brobbey and Bergwijn. Bergwijn. We win that first leg, we progress. That's my current stat how I feel. Feel there's a disconnect between midfield and defense. You got Jordan Henderson, slow as,
Yeah.
a lot of experience, can't give him space. They've got makeshift players in the centre back, the left back, young guy, and I really think that key to beating Ajax is going to be your Cheran Bakasetas and whoever plays that right wing, whether it's Mancini or Tete. That right wing is going to get a lot of space if they can exploit it. So um, that triangle is going to be very, very key to the game.
He was another one from the Botev second leg that was very good. Bakasetas. He's remember there were doubts if he can cope with the increased demands in intensity and all that. He's doing his job just fine so far, albeit early doors. But as you said, he's going to have a key role in even his shooting and set pieces. If it comes down to something like that as well. Henderson, as you said, obviously not what he used to be. I think Robbie, sorry, is going to be the one to contain out of the duo that's due back for them. Hopefully it's Ingerson on him and he can shut him down. The rest, one of their centre backs is quite good, Sutalo. So Jeremeff might have a trickier game on his hands.
And that's if Jeremeff starts. So 40 is included in the squad list. So let's see if 40 is fit enough to start. But yeah, look, Bakasetas is why I label him a key because of his quick switch passing. He understands the role of playing behind the striker, sitting as a attacking mid. He can also play as a deeper mid, and what makes him effective, especially in this kind of game, is Ajax can't afford to give him space because he can really hit them from outside. That's where he's probably most dangerous. Is
Yeah,
not within the box; it's outside the box because he can hit them. So having that threat there is big for us. So if they're going to try and shut him down, it's going to create space for your other players as well. So that's where I can see Sharon just being more creative on the ball, Mancini staying wide, getting behind their defense. That's where we're going to get the chances because in the first leg, in Amsterdam Arena, there was a situation where their midfielder took the ball forward, just breezed past the Ajax midfield, played a ball behind their defense, and they hit the post. So, and it was very similar with how they scored as well against Ajax. Well, Ajax's goals, the first on the corner, very scrappy. The first leg was a cross headed in, very loose marking. Then the final two goals, they were good finishes. Can't say anything negative about that, but you just see it was just a bad defense. I don't think it was a very good Vojvodina team, and I don't think Ajax showed a lot of good football, really. They looked very, very vulnerable. And they're coming up against a good team in us. So it is a step up. I'll put this. There was a graphic that Ajax is 59% chance to progress, which was the second lowest out of the seeded teams. So that says something. That shows that there's a bit of vulnerability there that there could be an upset on the cards.
They'll respect us though. They know
yeah,
what they're up against. I don't think they're
yeah,
going to take us lightly, which is not a good thing for us. Would have preferred the
exactly,
opposite.
exactly.
But then they've got a manager that's fairly inexperienced. So he's a 35-year-old that grew up that went through the ranks as a goalkeeper coach. He got then promoted to an assistant manager in Turkey and
Yes,
just got his trade through the Turkish league. Then so he's Italian background, Farioli. He got the Nice job where they finished 14th best attack and best defense in the French league one season, and he got picked up by Ajax. Now, Ajax had one of the worst defenses in the league, so they brought him in to rectify the defensive issue. I saw a lot of issues with that Ajax defense, something that we
he's coached Bakasetas at club level. Alanya Sport.
Mm. So he knows what he's got up against.
Yeah, that's worth noting. That look, what I was going to say is it's going to be interesting. That in-game scenario, how the game sort of 30th minute, 45th minute. I think they're going to come. Obviously, they're going to come. They're going to say they're going to come to win. I think they'd take a draw this first leg.
From what Sturge is saying, it sounds like they don't really know how to sit back and defend. They're probably more of an attacking team. Is that a fair summary, Serge?
Yeah, stats wise, when you look at from last season, they don't defend well. From what I saw against Vojvodina, they didn't defend too well. They only conceded one goal both legs, but both real was really a arm wrestle there, and Vojvodina had ample opportunities to get a couple of goals there and didn't. So they brought in a guy that shows that he's quite defense operated or defense minded, so which is a bit against the Ajax philosophy. Um, so let's see what unfolds. But like I said, they've got a left back that's their starting left centre back, so the they're playing players out of position essentially to compensate for another left back that they highly regard, who's young, and that's where I think, and that's where the Vojvodina the goal came from essentially. It was just exploiting that space on the left hand side, the Ajax left hand side.
So as far as our centre backs concerned, you've always comfortable with Ingerson and Yedvai?
Yeah, if fit, Jedvaj, that is. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely liked what I saw. I think there was more assurance between Ingerson Yedvay compared to Bart Yedvay. They just looked there was better communication there in that first leg. And what when I did the again one of the reviews, my worry was gonna be between Bart and if Gortilas started or the right back, whether that right back was, because just looking at how our friendlies went, a lot of our issues were caused in that passage of play on our hand side, especially between the Bart and whoever the right back was. So that's where my main concern was. And then, there was a big blunder made by Bart in that first leg as well, which almost cost us. So coming into that second leg, Uja, whatever his name is, the Botev striker, is a fairly physical player, and he was nowhere. Ingerson and Yedva just handled him with ease. No pace was any issues, no physicality was any issues. So I kind of like that pairing.
And then in terms of the right back role, I mean, what's it? I don't have an issue with. Like, I need who knows what's happening with him
yeah.
in terms of his longer term future. So it's going to be interesting to see as well.
I
Yeah,
think he's going to start Godziras.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, of course, of course.
and we'll discuss the Vayanidi stuff soon, which was fairly positive news for him and the club. But yeah, to be fair, Vayanidis played well in that first leg, and Gortidas played well and got an assist in the second leg. So you go for experience and um, just more defensive, because Gortidas is probably more defense oriented compared to Vayanidis, who's fairly attacking player.
We
He's
said this. We said this last year. Remember, if Mladenovic especially is going to be on the left, which he will be, we're going to have Vayanidis Mladenovic against Ajax. Really, they both like to go forward.
who knows? Who knows if, like I said, if we can exploit some of the space, because Ajax like to play. They played two different formations. They played in the home leg I think the home leg they played the 4-3-3, and in the away leg the 4-2-3-1. So it depends on what formations get deployed, but there is space for both of them to attack that Ajax line. But
You know what? That's another feature from Botev that we saw. Aral dropping deep,
yeah,
which could lend itself to that, to essentially form a back three.
but we saw that often last year where Ruben would come back as well. You saw that whoever was sitting on that playing that six, where they would act sometimes as that third sort of centre back. So yeah, it is a position that I was fairly comfortable in coming in there. But for me, there's not going to be any score predictions for Ajax, but they're not scary. They're not like a team to be feared. I'm fairly confident in saying that we get that first leg win, we progress. That's how confident I am in this squad and what Ajax can offer.
Actually, I'm happy that we're playing first leg at home.
Yeah, yeah. I think historically we play better and progress when the first leg is home. I think historically, recent history, um, when we play away first, things haven't panned out well. I think Slava Prague is one of them. Braga is another one.
Braga.
We sort of got okayish results. Bring it to Athens. We'll do the job there. Neither of those games really worked out well for us. While you got Marseille, Marseille would be one. Not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of yeah other results we can go by, but we can
You,
say Botev
you,
now.
you look at the Dnipro game. Well, the
That was the
Dnipro,
first
That
game.
was
yeah,
away.
it
Yeah,
was away, yeah. But we actually did better away than we did at home.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If we get the lead and take a lead to Amsterdam, I'm confident we progress. I don't see us suffering a major loss or anything like that. I see us progressing in provided that we get the win.
Great.
Their atmosphere in that second leg, if we go there with a win, the atmosphere is going to be very tense for them. Like they'll turn on their players, is what I'm saying. The off season they've had, the lack of investment into the squad and all that, their fans are going to crack it.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll
And
no
we'll have a lot. We'll have a lot of fans there for that second leg. A lot of Greeks living in the Netherlands, and we the ones living in Germany and all that, and we played them not too long ago, about 8-10 years ago was the most recent time we would have played Ajax. We
yeah,
we had a lot of fans there.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
and the history between the two clubs is
Then yeah, if you
very
go
good.
further back,
But
of course,
they're still deemed a European great club. So
for sure.
this fixture, no doubt, is gonna be a big one for us as well as it is for them as well. So, you guys happy to make any predictions or score lines or what you see coming out of the match? Or I'm not sticking my neck out with score lines, but I'm just saying if we get that first leg, we win, we progress.
You got to be optimistic, I guess. You got to support the team, especially early doors in a new season. I don't know if we can keep a clean sheet. That's the thing. So I'll go 2-1 to us.
Funny you say it, Nichols. I thought the exact same thing. We'll score. I'm confident in us scoring, but I'm not confident in keeping a clean sheet.
Exactly. I don't know why. Exactly that.
And yeah, 2-1 was a score I had in my mind as well. So I want to stick to that too.
If we do get through Ajax over the course of two legs, imagine what that does for not only the team's confidence, not only Alonso, what it does for the fans and the fans backing Alonso and
Yeah.
bringing. I'm not going to say we're back and there's a buzz and all that again, but it'll be a major step in the right direction.
Well, going off social media though, a lot of the fans have already bought into
They're liking him. Yeah,
Alonso and what he's brought to the table so far. And I'm pleased to see that because I think that he has shown some good signs early on. And I think I love to see him getting that support when really all the issues that we had has been nothing to do with the coach or the squad.
Look,
yeah. You think about the cards he's been dealt with. He knew he wasn't the first choice. very well documented. Working under a horrible regime, a la Fuzos, enough said. The squad not in tatters, but a lot of ins and outs and signings that need to be made, and a fan base that was the way we were. And but by all accounts, though, he's a hard worker and he's humble. That can only
The other,
bode well.
and the other thing as well that I like and it's shown early on is, well, going by the reports anyway, the players that he said, thanks but no thanks, find another club. That seems to be his call being made. Not the spreadsheet master. It's the coach's call. Now it's up to Papadimitriou to actually act on it and find these clubs, find these players their clubs, right? So good signs early on. I just really hope he gets rewarded with a good result against Ajax.
Yeah.
Sturge, no predictions from you?
Not a scoreline, but we'll talk about the European opponents soon. But I can confirm that we've avoided a Chelsea. So
Yeah,
um,
Chelsea, Fiorentina, and Real Betis all avoided. The only ones that could be hard is Lens and Copenhagen, from memory, in our group. That was it.
yeah, so we'll go on to that shortly. The prospective European opponents.
I thought you had some news. That's you
I
got my
don't, the
interest.
draw's happening at the moment, so when I saw that, it just brought a bit of a smile to my face. It is going now, but you know what? Let's talk about what happens next. With if we do beat Ajax, if we do progress against Ajax, I should say, what it looks like. So the we take their seated place and we will take on the loser between Bodo Glimt, who is they got very good pedigree in Europe. They're really a team that is on the up and they are performing. So or the Polish team, Jagiellonia, Jagiellonia Białystok. So it is a bit of a tongue twister. Not that easy. So
That's a
and
Champions League tie. That one.
yeah, so we do versus the loser out of them. Now it's very if you watch a lot of football and nothing's ever guaranteed, you would assume Bodo Glimt does progress there.
For sure.
So it's quite possible that if we progress, that we'll take on the Polish team, which will be fairly a drop in what we're known in terms of the quality. And I think qualification to the main Europa League group is achievable, especially if we progress past Ajax. What do you know much about these two teams, Bodo Glimt or um the Polish team Jagiellonia?
Yeah, I can't say I know much, if anything, about the Polish team, so absolutely zero input from me there. Bodo Glimt, they've had some decent runs in Europe in the last couple of years. I
Yeah.
think last year they actually got wins both home and away against Besiktas, if I'm not mistaken. And funny enough, I think they were knocked out by Ajax last season as well, and it was a pretty tight tie. It went to extra time, if I recall correctly. And I think the year before that, they actually got some really big wins against some decent pedigree teams. I think it was a couple of years ago where it was Ange Postecoglou who was coaching Celtic, if I'm not mistaken, and they faced Bodo Glimt in one of the European qualifiers, and I think they won quite convincingly from memory. I can't recall scoreline. So, if it's the same coach, very well coached team, very well drilled, no absolute superstars in their squad. It is a very well balanced team and squad. So, definitely, that's the team I don't want to face, is the short answer. No
I've never heard
disrespect
of
to
the
the Polish
Polish.
team.
I've never heard of them. I I don't even know them. And that's not to be disrespectful. Like, when I think Polish clubs, I think Legia Warsaw, Lech Poznan, Wisla, I've heard of Wisla, Krakow.
Yep.
These guys I've never heard of.
Yep.
The Norwegians, the other thing with them to take into account, those Scandinavian countries, their league is ongoing at the moment.
Yep.
So they're right in the swing of things. But like you guys both said, it'll be the Norwegians that get through there, and the winner of us and Ajax will face the Polish side. Ajax is the one. If we get through Ajax, I think we're almost there. We're almost into the main league phase.
Yeah, don't disagree.
This is pivotal, and to get through, as we've already said, it's this first leg. It's all on this first leg against Ajax.
And I thought initially when a draw came out, we played the winner, not the loser.
Me too.
And that's where I thought, oh, Bodo Glimt, geez, that's going to be hard. And I don't think our track record against Scandinavian clubs is not fantastic over the
Yeah.
journey. So I can't say we had some decent wins, but then we've had some losses
Brondby.
as well.
I remember we beat Brondby. Ajax Stockholm. We've beaten not too long
Yeah,
ago.
we've had struggles against Copenhagen in the
Yes.
past.
Yeah, Copenhagen's been a bit of a bogey team, but the Swedish teams Greeks historically have good results against. But yeah, I do not like this Bodo Glimt potential if it is them.
So Rosenborg is another famous
Yes.
Norwegian club, if I'm not mistaken.
We've played them in a Champions League group stage.
Yep. Aalborg, for those old enough to remember back in the day, we've had some bit of a win and a loss against them as well. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but you'd prefer an easier draw.
I can see. I reckon Sturgis all eyes. I can see. He's looking. He's looking at this draw.
Yeah, I just
I'm relying on you now. I'm hoping for some good news. Just avoid Copenhagen and Lens, as we said before.
I can't give you
Well,
that. I can't give you that good news.
yeah, no, I
No,
was going to say I just saw who we're up
no.
against in the Conference League.
We
Who?
got Lens.
Now,
This Ajax game's even more important.
yeah, absolutely. Because Lons versus the other scenario is a far worse proposition. Now, I don't know where they finished in the French league last year. I'm not sure if
Were
you
they
guys know.
not? I could be wrong. I feel like you guys would know. Did they not play Champions League last season?
Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember. I think they were in the Champions League. I think they were in the Champions League, but yeah, this obviously doesn't bode well for us if we come up against Lens. Lens did finish fourth in the league, 4 points clear of Nice, where the current coach Farioli came from. 34 games, 16 wins, 11 draws, 9 losses. Sorry, 16, 11, 7, 52 goals scored, 34 conceded. So yeah, it's definitely a tougher team there.
We've got to get through Ajax.
Yep.
We have to. I don't want our European season going on the line against these guys.
I don't trust their form against good French teams as well.
No. God, that's a shame. That would be. Imagine if the worst happens, we lose to Ajax and we get Lens and lose there. That's going to be catastrophic for the team's confidence.
But Lens still has they're in the Champions League at the moment. So is it Lens and someone else? I'm just trying to understand.
I'm relying on you now. I don't know.
Because from what my understanding is Lens has a Champions League qualifier versus Fenerbahce. So is it Lens or Fenerbahce that we're up against? That's what it would have to be.
Is fourth in France even Champions League these days? I don't even know.
Because I'm just looking at their scheduling. They're scheduled to play in a couple of days against Fenerbahce in the Champions League, and they've got 4 teams in the Champions League.
I thought that the draw was purely them. There's no win or lose depending on. So not sure there what's happening there.
Yeah, bit of a strange one. bit of a strange one.
So last year they played Champions League.
Last year, I'm pretty sure they were in there. I could be wrong. I don't know.
No,
Whoever's listening, off the top of my head, correct me.
no,
Were they
I've
not
got
in
the I've got the
Arsenal's group?
fixtures here last year. So they played Seville and
Arsenal?
Arsenal,
That's what I
PSV,
remember. Yeah,
and
that's what I remember.
so if you go through the results, they drew away against Seville. They beat Arsenal at home 2-1.
But they did then cop the 6 in London.
They got the 6 in London, spot on. Against PSV, they drew at home 1-1, and they lost away 1-0, and then they beat Seville 2-1 at home.
What did they finish in that group?
They finished, oh, if I can find it, third with
Third.
8 points.
So they dropped down to Europa.
They was, yeah, to drop down to Europa, and then they got knocked out. Who did they get knocked out by? They got knocked out by someone.
It is weird though what Sturge said, like the fact that they finished fourth in France, which is a big five league, and they got Fener allegedly in Champions League. They don't have an opponent either. I saw the grouping; it was just them. Whereas Copenhagen, it was Copenhagen or who they play.
Yeah. So get this, they got knocked out by Freiburg in the Europa. They were 0 first leg at home. Second leg, they were up 2-0. And then Freiburg equalised 2-2 in the 92nd minute.
Wow.
And it went to extra time. And then they scored in extra time. So they came close to actually progressing there as well.
So in other words, underdogs against Ajax, underdogs against these guys.
I'd say that probably would be more underdogs against Lons than we would be against Ajax. Yeah.
I fully agree.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
That's why this Ajax is pivotal, and especially this first leg. Absolutely, it's even more important now than what it was half an hour ago.
And was it Rennes that we played last year in the
Last year,
Europa?
they beat us twice.
Yeah. And I'd say that Lons is
They're
form
better.
guide's a better form guide.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's put a bit of dampener on things, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We've got our work cut out for us now. Hope 40 has to be right to start in that game if it goes to that then. And new signings quick now to be in the list for the playoff round.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm French teams we have struggled historically. This makes you boys are right. The Ajax leg is even more important, more than ever.
That would be just that would shatter our players and Alonso. If we miss out on Europe altogether on the back of a hard draw.
But yeah, no,
The draw's been worse this season. I mean, we're okay last year, but so far, yeah.
This is a killer, yeah.
But look, we had Marseille last year, right? And I'd argue that Marseille was a tougher opponent on paper
Then
than what
Ajax,
Ajax is. Yeah.
but that was Champions League.
sorry, I was looking at the wrong. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, Lens. I was looking at Lille. Lens is Lens. Let's go
Like
into
sixth,
sorry.
seventh.
Getting up the thing. Do apologize there, fellas, for that attack. But still, it doesn't make it easier. Lens is definitely a difficult team to come up against. We have struggled. Even Rennes was very average, and we struggled. They finished 10th. Rennes. Lons finished 7th. 14 14 wins, 9 draws, 11 losses, 45 goals scored, 37 conceded. So, not if you look at it attackingly, then they didn't have the best attacking, fairly solid defense. If you want to put it in perspective against Rennes, um, they had obviously 2 more wins more than Rennes. Um, so fairly close. It would be fairly close to what Rennes presented. So, um, Rennes did score more goals in the French league, but conceded a lot more goals. So, Lens will not be an easy team to come up against. So, as I said, it does make this qualification even more important. You know, hypothetically we beat Ajax, we're guaranteed group stage of the Conference League as well.
Correct. Correct.
So that's something else. The significance of beating Ajax, we're guaranteed Europe a group stage in either comp.
Just let it sink in, though. The Polish side that I said I'd never heard of them before. That's Europa. Lons is bloody conference. Go figure.
It just shows though our coefficient, not having
That's
a coefficient over the years, is really biting us in the backside.
that's the point I'm trying to make. Exactly. We
Yeah.
we need a circuit breaker. It's got to start in this campaign. A
Yep.
big European season to break that
Yeah,
Yep.
well,
cycle and get us up again.
this Polish team, it's not even worth reviewing them, but yeah, they won the league on equal goals. Equal points.
Okay.
So that's
With who? Because Legia's. I thought that Legia was
uh,
also quite a good
Legia
side.
was third
Okay.
against something Slask Rocklau. So that's something worth considering. But yeah, we know now the European fate, boys. So the game against Ajax, very important. We should have mentioned this earlier, is in Greek time, 9 p.m. Thursday night. Um, Australian Eastern Standard Time, 4 a.m. Unsure of your world clocks, rest of the world, wherever you're listening from. So do obviously get your conversions correct. Um, Big game. Hopefully minimum 50,000 to drown out Ajax. And let's take it to the next topic, boys. Just prior to the podcast, speculation um was rife on who the new left back will be. It was known that signing would be imminent. A lot of speculation on who it could be. There was a lot of talks that it was likely it could have been Pedrosa from Seville, but it looks like it is a German by the name of Phillip Max from Frankfurt. Um, Last time we signed a 30-plus-year-old German left back, it worked wonders. He was um, unbelievable for us. Unbelievable, Marcus Mink. Um, so let's go over Philip Max, boys. Do you guys know much about him, or did you guys do any homework on him? What you think he might brings?
Very little in the last hour, couple of hours or so. 3 caps for the German men's senior side. I think that's correct. PSV he played at. I think briefly at Schalke in their maybe in their youth or their second side. I think Bayern Munich as well. We're getting him from Eintracht Frankfurt. They're normally in the European picture. They're in the Conference League. I'm pretty sure they played against PAO last season. So you know Europe quite well, especially with PSV as well. Um, good. He says he's got an assist in him. Good crosses, good at set pieces, but he's more balanced game all round compared to Mladenovic. where he's also good on the defensive side. But that doesn't mean he's bad going forward. So in other words, he's a well-rounded player that's good on both sides of the ball, doing both in attack and in defense. And hopefully, as you said, he's more like along the lines of Mink rather than another German fullback that we had, albeit on the other side.
I
Feels
think is it Bremer? Was his name?
Jens Wemmer, yeah. The guy that
Who
tried to take us to every court under the sun.
who ended up the biggest contribution he made to the club was drinking frappe every morning at the cafeteria, and not kicking a single ball, if I'm not mistaken.
Remember, he was the one that was trying to get us relegated and to get every cent and courts
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah.
Huh.
Unfortunately, I do recall that. But in terms of Phillip Max, it's every journalist's dream to have someone named Max, because then he can roll out all the power to the max and max output jokes and one-liners. And rest assured, I'll be throwing a few in future podcasts. So there you go. Look, I don't know much about him at all, to be fair, other than what I've read in the last couple of hours, similar to what you said, Nick, as well. So the only thing I'll add that is I did read though he's a bit of a workhorse. He doesn't. He's got a good stamina. He's got a good work ethic. Um, and I'm hoping that translates into him actually tracking back when it comes time to defend. Because yeah, I think there's been a couple of times we've called it out on this podcast in the past with Mladenovic where some of the goals he conceded was because he failed to track back or make the effort to run both ways. So if he does similar characteristics, but adds that to the game as well, then we've got an improvement in terms of our left back position, and I'll be more than happy with that. To be fair,
Exactly. That's all I want. In my eyes, I think like someone with that there, for me, he's under a lot of pressure to deliver and perform, not only because of the fee, but because we need him for output. Whereas for Max now, from in my eyes, it's a bit different where I just want him to do his job. Just do your role, be an upgrade on Mladenovic defensively, and that's all I ask for. Defend first and don't worry about the attack. Just get your defense right.
yep.
yeah.
Sturge, you're usually good with your research.
When the name came up, I was kind of a bit underwhelmed. We saw quite a few names throwing up. We had Martin from Genoa, who,
Enzo Diaz,
yeah, Diaz, those kind
um,
of names, Pedrosa.
Pedroza.
They were kind of, I was getting happy. It was 20s, players in their 20s could offer something, playing in the top leagues. I'm not gonna lie and say I know everything about Phillip Max. I don't, but I had to do a bit of homework once I saw the names coming up. Watched a bit of highlights on him. Look, he will be a good player for the Greek league. I should have maybe articulated that when I made a tweet about a bit underwhelming. But I think when you compare it to the names that we were linked, 30-year-old German, 30-year-old, I should say. Just, I keep harping on. We need to just get that little bit younger. Let's get a little bit younger. Get players in their 20s. But overall, he does look good. He looks technically good. He's good on the set pieces front, penalties, free kicks. But I don't think he will take a free kick over Bakasetas or Sharon, realistically. So let's see if that will ever happen. But he does look like a solid operator defensively. I think it must be said he did play only a single season for Frankfurt, and by the end of the season he was on the bench. He wasn't a really utilized as a full 90-minute player. If you look at his stats, which obviously raises a bit of questions. I think he does have a bit of history with the hamstring that could be playing a part of his fitness levels of last season. Even the season prior, he didn't look like he had a lot of game time as well. I think stats wise, they're pretty decent. Assist wise, goal wise, he can get forward, he can defend, but I'd argue that his best days were his PSV days. Um, and the stats definitely support that as well. So, what he will bring to the Greek league, obviously, the German class. Like he's been capped 3 times by Germany. To be capped by a national team like Germany, you got to be fairly decent. So yeah, it's a tick in the box. You don't make a national team of that stature and not be good enough. So, I think he'll be good for the Greek league. I think name wise and just prospect wise, I felt was a bit underwhelming, but I'm really hoping he proves me wrong where I say it was a bit underwhelming, and I really hope that he can, um, just as Nick said, do the job that Mladenovic can't do, which is defend, track well. I don't think he's as good in the air defensively. Um, as long as he's just putting the pressure on the defenders that and reads the game well. I think just watching highlights, just looking at his stats, he does bomb that left hand side. But he does defend well. It's something that many games when Juanco was out and we were there with Mladenovic, we conceded a lot of goals and dropped points because of that Mladenovic defending. So I do see that being rectified the games that he starts. I don't see obvious glaring errors like that.
Fingers crossed it works out. But I think valid points you raised, Sturge, in terms of his caliber, who he's represented, in terms of the national team, and he's playing at PSV and then Eintracht Frankfurt. I mean, they're no small teams either. So he's proven himself at the highest level. And for me, I'm happy. I'll take that. I've got no complaints. And I think we've learned over the recent years that our player signings are almost always the ones we don't hear about, and all those rumours always end to nothing. This one, I'm happy to be surprised with.
He really does work in the dark, though. The spreadsheet man. That's the third signing, well, for us winter, but third summer signing for Greece that within 24 hours announced, like in the public domain, done. Well, not
Yep,
we haven't announced it yet, but I'm sure by the time we wake up tomorrow, it will be.
yep, yep, yep. No, I agree. It's yeah, credit where credit's due. Kept under wraps.
But that's the thing. We talk about you know speculation on who we're going to sign. But our signings are typically the ones that just come out of nowhere, not the long drawn names that's played in and out of the media. We've seen it with Linga is a famous one.
Yeah.
Seen it with
Anduna,
Antuna as well. That's another popular one. So
hopefully Palistri doesn't go down that path.
it's heading for me towards that path.
Really?
If we haven't announced it, and it was meant to be a loan, and we'll talk transfer nil, it would have already happened, in my opinion. But it's the ones that drag on don't seem to stick. So, um, look, I'm happy a left back has been signed, and we'll talk later on about the transfers and the transfer mills. But we essentially got our left back. It's just formulation now for it to be announced, whether it's a permanent signing or loan. Unsure of the terms there because he's only been that one season at Frankfurt. So yeah,
From what I read, they were talking about a transfer, not a loan, with a transfer fee of €1 million.
it's good business. It's good business. It looks like transfer market has given him a market value of 2 million. So look, you can't complain. I think that's a really good fee for a player like that.
Mm, yeah. And that's coming from non-Greek sources, so I probably tend to put more weight on that as opposed to what we read in our media.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, I want to talk more next about the players that are actually performing. So we touched a little bit on Jeremeff early on, prior to the Botev review. Um, yeah, Jeremeff Berg, we might as well call him because Berg was a Swedish god, and now Jeremeff is, up there as well. He's just making a reputation for himself. So, he's done more, and you're pointing that out. Someone that's on most likely peanuts, low reputation, is delivering. He's scoring. You can't bag a player that's scoring limited opportunities that he was given last season, and he was scoring. That's a sign of a good striker. Um, Unfortunately, the age he's probably heading towards 30 as well. But he's doing the job for us. You can't say the same thing about a player that's probably 5 times the wages that Jeremeff is on that can't even score. That is struggling.
Yeah. And in terms of that player, there was a rumor that came out that he was potentially on his way to Mexico.
I'm
I
happy
don't
to
know if I
show
buy that.
them the best of clips. It might not be a long clip, but I'm happy to share them. The best of clips compile a list. Um,
I
for
think I
He's
saw I
in
saw the
goal.
tweet. Yeah, I saw
Villarreal
the
goal.
tweet. I saw the tweet on, I think it was you, boys. I'm sure I saw it as well. Then you go into the comments, and it's just like many Panathinaikos fans saying, "Please don't take him from us. We'll be lost without him." And I'm like, "Yep, everyone's playing their part beautifully
But there is another player that deserves a lot of accolades, and I want to go a little bit more into this one as well. It's the guy in my screen, Djuricic. Um, he came in with a bit of a reputation last season. He's on decent wage, especially by Greek standard. Um, he started off well last season, and injuries got the better of him, and then game time, then he just looked like a player that was frustrated, that couldn't deliver as much, especially in that attacking mid role. There was a beautiful goal that he scored against Ike early on in the season as well in the Foros. That was very one to add to the notes about the expectation of him. Now, this season we've seen him shift to the left wing, and I'd argue that he was over both legs player of the round.
Easy.
I'm also gonna say I'm seeing a lot of similarities of Juricic with someone that became a cult hero last season.
Yeah.
Fans were frustrated with this player initially. Um, he looked unsettled in his first season, and then last season moved to the left wing position and contributed in goals and assists. I see a lot of similarities with what Diego Alonso has done, with what Jova slash Terim did with Bernard and moved him to the left wing. Neither of them are the fastest players, but they're very good on the ball, skillfully. Um, they both have good vision. They know how to time their runs. They're smart players, high IQ players. Bernard was still missing one, two, three sitters. Like he missed fairly good sitter, like easy chances, but he was a stud for us towards that back end of the season from that December onwards. If Juricic can perform that consistently and stay fit, there's a place for him in the squad. I know when we talk about the transfer mill, rumor mill, that a left wing is they're looking for a gun left wing. Juricic is making a name for himself on that left wing, so that's obviously going to be something very difficult if if you're going to replace Juricic.
Long season, and we need competition for spots.
The only question mark I've got, and I think, sorry, Nick, you're 100% right. We need that competition. But the question mark I've got is that obviously he doesn't have pace. He doesn't he doesn't have the stamina that maybe you need for someone who's going to run up and down that wing endlessly. And I don't think we've had that for some time now. I think that Terry, despite all his faults, managed to get the best out of Bernard, but that was allowing Bernard to sort of cut into the middle more often than not and play more of a left midfield role as opposed to a true winger role. And it's what Juricic's role seems to be as well. But I'm not quite sure yet if Alonso wants someone who can run up and down that wing as well, as opposed to just cutting in the whole time. So yeah, we may be that we get a winger that is more of a traditional winger. So then we've got alternate styles to play, and depending on the game and depending on who we're up against, you can choose the right player to adapt as well.
Yeah. But do you see the similarities of what we saw with Bernard? Do you see
Yeah,
that quality?
absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's a great call you made, and I think it's quite clear to see that the similar styles. Like Bernard wasn't a pacey player. Bernard probably didn't have the stamina either for the 2 seasons that he was with us anyway,
Yeah.
and yet playing the right way. That second half of the season last season, he was fantastic. So yeah, I'm hoping that Juricic is the same as well. I'm just not quite sure yet if that's exactly how Alonso wants to play that position or play out in that position. And I say that because, and I welcome your thoughts here from both of you, where Bacaseta seems to be running the show in terms of that attacking mid role, sitting in front of the defensive mid, and Cherry's going to be the one that sort of that does the tireless running around, more of the box to box midfielder. Does Jurisic's role sort of cutting in sort of complement that, or does it create congestion in the middle?
Well, I think when
Mhm.
he's on that left wing, I get it. We played against an inferior opposition. When he's more isolated on that left hand side, he can do more damage. When he comes in, when he played that 10 role, he just looked like he's trying to do too much. The decision making was wrong. It was a dribble too much. He didn't seem to be given the space that he wants as a player. Um, I think he's worked out how to get that space on that left hand side, and even coming in a little bit, he's still able to be that threat. Um, the timing of the goal that Mancini gave him was just clever by Mancini, but he spotted the Juricic run, isolated by himself, back post, bang, tap in. The first leg, there was a point where there was no real options around him. The defender gave him a bit of space, and he just took a curling shot that glanced the post. And you need to be high IQ, and you got to be good technically to have hit that and that kind of curl in. Very unlucky not to score for us. Um, so I think there's a role for him in the team. What that role is not a 10 anymore. I don't think he can return to that 10 role. When he plays in that midfield or that attacking midfield and there's traffic, he gets lost in traffic. He's like a deer in headlights where he just doesn't know what to do. He just loses the ball, frustration, goes in for a reckless tackle. We saw him accumulate a few yellow cards, just being a bit reckless. But from what I've seen so far, against albeit shit opposition, he's shunned. I think if he can get more isolated and a bit more space, there's definitely a role for him in the team.
Yeah. He can
Yeah.
play the 10 role, in, although granted he's not the first choice for that. But like I said, he's not going to play every game either. And then behind Bacaseta, who's then your next choice to play in that same position?
Hey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I agree. So
Yeah.
he's
He,
definitely, if he can maintain the form, he's going to be of great value. But I think it's going to be a bit more versatile as well. And I think that's where getting a gun left winger is going to be still critical to balance the squad, especially now we've told Verbic, pack your bag, sunshine, find another club.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll wrap up the Juricic talk there, but yeah, because you mentioned verbiage, and that's gonna come into our final segment, and I can see Nick already struggling as well. Um, from what we understand is the we know this week that Ruben and Aitor have been told to find new clubs. Um, it was rumored that Aitor might be linked to newly promoted team Como in the Serie A. We'll just wait on anything with that. Ruben, I feel for the guy because I think he's been a wonderful player and a wonderful servant, and he's
Yep.
getting told to pack up his bags. Who probably gave more in the last season than what Zeka did, and Zeka is being retained for one more year. We know Ruben's more better on the ball and less prone to do something idiotic like get sent off or do something really dumb. So it's a shame that it's come to that, but in the life of football, no, it's a business at the end of the day. So we know that it's also been rumored that verbiage is not required at the club, and we know that there are links with for Sporta with initially the Slovenian club Bratislava. They're saying he might cost a bit. I assume that's more on the wages front because I don't see the transfer fee being an issue considering they're in the Champions League qualification round, the next stage, which they progress, so they should be getting decent penny from that. And also the strange one was the Mexican link. Um, I don't know where that came from, but we've seen some European players do go to Mexico. As of recent, we saw Yakumakis there. That was initially scoring for fun. I haven't really tracked his progress since then. Um, Target player that was there and had a very successful, quite a decent stint there was the French striker Gignac, the really tall
Oh, yeah.
French striker. So you'd think Sporter is of that mold. So let's see what happens there. So we know Verbic and Sporter are players on the out. It's been said that Vayanidis will not be going to Botafogo. We did reject a final 4 million euro offer from what has been reported. Um, we know that we've asked for 6+ million for him. I think that's also got to do with Inter owning a percentage
Yeah.
sell-on fee. I don't think it's as high as 40-50% as it was reported. I think it's somewhere in the 20 to 30% mark. That would seem more reasonable. So um, I don't know if the Vayanidi saga of him leaving the club is over. We do have three right backs as well. 40, man, a baller, that Portuguese newspaper. I'm gonna call it tabloid. They're not even worthy to be called anymore a newspaper. Just persisting with the sporting rumors. Their technical director posted a picture of a
Yeah.
this sporting jersey number 7, which is pretty pathetic. At some point, it's almost tampering. It's almost so. They reckon they're going to come in with a final offer of 27 million euro. They should have just met the valuation the first time we asked, not try and lowball us, not try and give us Alexandropoulos and lowball us, like all silly tactics when they fleece European clubs themselves. So they're obviously trying to fleece the smaller clubs, but I don't expect him to go to Sporting this transfer window. if a big club comes after him from a big like in England, I see that happening. I don't see him going to Portugal this transfer window. What happens in 12 months' time might be a different conversation. I don't see Portugal at this time.
Yeah.
Agree with that.
There's also one name that popped up today. It was linked to us 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Fascinating name. I think great player. A lot of potential, a lot of future. Let me try and pronounce his name again. Nick, go for it.
Oh, the
Arturo.
surname Kerem Aktugolu. I can't.
Yeah, Arturo. Arturo.
Aktugolu. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Turkish.
He was a starter with that. There was a odd player in that side worth noting.
Yeah. So he's rated 14 million. I don't see us coughing up 14 million euro.
No way.
So he does come from Galatasaray, Turkish international. That's obviously, depending on the supporters that you ask, might raise a couple of questions. But the source that the name came from is the source that
Yep.
first said that they will sign Panathinaikos. So, um, it does come from somewhere that it is that has been right in the past. I can't say reliable. He did get the Tete one spot on right early. It was a Turkish source, so I don't know if he's a Turkish insider or not. But he's also come out and said that this guy is interested by Panathinaikos and is willing to join us. So it's one to watch out for. Pelistri, we don't know what's happening there. There was apparently ongoing conversations and communications between us and Manchester United. Diego Alonso wants him because he knows him through Uruguay, coaching him for the Uruguay national team. I know him by being a Manchester United supporter, what he can offer, and what kind of quality he can bring. But as I said, long drawn transfers are the ones that don't get done. I'm getting the sense of feeling that this one is close to being dead, this transfer. So if he comes, I'll be stoked. If he doesn't, it just proves the theory that long drawn transfers are not the ones that they work.
I'm still going to hold out hope because, and I could be wrong, or this is a bit outdated now. Last I saw, he was still on holidays.
Yeah, he's not part of the Manchester United tour.
He had the Copa America as well.
Yeah.
Correct.
So for now, I'm still holding out hope.
It's he's returned.
He has returned. Okay.
Yeah, he has returned. Today actually, he's returned.
Well, let's hope this week's crucial then. Let's
Yeah.
hope.
So he's reported back to Carrington. So, um, yeah. Um, I don't know. Yeah, and even Manchester United just tweeted that back with a picture of him. So I don't know if that one is gonna happen. But what about you guys? Have you guys been reading into anything else? Well, we can rule out now the left back position because that one's been done.
Thank God.
Any names that you've seen? Nothing ridiculous, obviously, but some things that, oh, okay.
Probably maybe talk about a couple of the departures as well. So nothing exciting, unfortunately, but still movements on our squad. Obviously, Chokai is the forgotten man, and I think he was Sturge, you may mention there was a rumoured move to Atromitos.
Yes.
Got Trier, who
Yeah.
he was on loan last year to Boulogne. I suspect he'll be on loan again this year somewhere. So I don't see him staying in the squad at all. Um, outside of that, you know, the mystery man, Eric Palmer Brown. Is he going to
He might
stay?
go.
Is he going to go? Is he actually going to appear somewhere in the future? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens to him. And the loan for him probably would be a likely scenario, I would suspect.
Yeah, there's also the Kleinheisler as well, if he's gonna get moved on as well. So I think it's very likely as well he will get moved on.
The other one that I haven't heard a word about, and not suggesting there's any rumours either, but Nika, who's come from Levadiakor, I like to see him stay on the squad. I like to see him maybe get a run here or there, sort of demonstrate his potential. I hate to see him go out on loan somewhere else.
I'd keep him. We've said before, long season, but keep him for those games against the likes of the Califers and Levadiakoses and Lamiers and
Yeah, but
you know the
there's,
sort of sides I'm talking
there's
about.
teams that love playing physical. Just
Exactly.
Yep.
I see him being kept on, and I'm seeing him for his physicality being used in those games, just to match him for strength because he's a solid boy. And he was used quite a bit by Diego Alonso in the preseason. So there's obviously some there's obviously some interest there to use him in some sort of capacity. So you get to see a fair bit of him and what he can offer. So I expect him to get runs in the Greek League Cup, weak opposition.
Hmm.
But in terms of transfer in rumours, the only other one I've heard of was the defensive mid Moroccan international, I think, if I recall correctly. He's a
Okay, I
free
haven't heard
agent.
it.
Is that his name started with M?
Yeah, I also saw one with a guy that played in France.
Yeah,
He was of African background. Um, I thought he looked not bad. I thought he'd definitely be the backup for Arau. And there's speculation that we're going to offer Arau a contract as well, contract extension.
How old? That's like a
deserved.
31, 32, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, but the way he's playing,
deserved. Yeah, yeah.
I think he can offer quite a bit still.
Mm.
It's a shame in all this. There's nothing, nothing for Villena, suitor,
Oh,
potential suitor. Like you hear
look,
Sportard, nothing. We haven't heard a club yet for Verbic, but I think he'll find a club. But
I think
Villena,
he'll
on the
find a
market
club
he's
too.
on, no one's going to touch him.
I don't see Villena going anywhere, to be honest.
No
And
chance.
and I got a feeling that Alonso maybe wouldn't want to lose him either. I mean, because okay, let's say Cherin gets injured or he's away on international duty, then who else have you got sort of playing that number 8 role? Um, and you obviously got Bacaseta, but there's not much else there in terms of who's got the ability to run.
But probably sign someone.
Yeah, well, according to transfer market about rumors. So they've got three listed. I can probably shoot one down already. Enzo Diaz. Um, there was a guy named Boglan Rakovica, but that's fairly low. Centre back. Pelestri's name appears, and the strength has increased to 41%. Believe last week it was about 33 or 35%. So if you're someone that loves transfer market and swear by it, that's an interesting number there for you on that likeliness.
Surprisingly, we haven't heard any. I haven't seen any striker names come up with Spora rumored to be leaving. I would have thought that maybe it'd be players linked to us on that front.
Well, I think you nailed it right at the start. I think you would go for a young upcomer, or do you rely on Dubizas who appeared in the first couple of friendlies of the season? You see how what he can offer.
I'd sign someone.
Yeah, I would say. Similar was it the young lad that we signed, was it Pereira, I think it was, and then
No,
we
yeah.
let him go on a free. He ended up getting a transfer to Germany, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he ended up started doing well.
Mm.
So
Something like that.
yeah, okay, that's definitely interesting. Yeah,
And
he's at Zurich at the moment, FC Zurich. So he's in the Swiss league at the moment, PAO. But um, yeah, he did get picked up at that one point by Stuttgart. So
I think I paid like 2 million euros, something like that.
yeah, two,
He
two
got his
plus
Greek papers. He's eligible, I think,
Janina.
now for the national team.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. I was a Yanina, that's right.
Yep, and we sold him to Janina for 100,000.
Oh, we kept a percentage of fee, if I'm not mistaken.
Ah,
I think we made like 400,000 out of it.
that's all right then. That's all right. But yeah, look, it's obviously it's obviously conversations that need to be had on what direction you want that striker. If you're gonna look outside, do you go young? Where do you rate him? Do you put him behind Jeremeff? Because we know that Jeremeff now has earned his place. I've got him ahead of Sporter last year when I did my blog on choice of strikers. Obviously, it's a no-brainer to have Fortis there first, but when you look at the numbers between Jeremeff and Sporter, you, Jeremeff didn't put a foot wrong. Like he was scoring whatever opportunity he was given. So, and Sporter, if you're looking back at how he's performed in the Euros, how he's went in the Greek season last season, he's not worth it. And what he just missed on the weekend for me as a striker, 1-on-1, fresh legs, coming on against a tired defense, inferior opposition, and not score. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I talk about one of our other player transfers, which really has not rated a mention?
Wait,
And I say that because, we've had Eric Palmer Brown, who's sort of been hunted down by the CIA because he's that elusive and hard to find over the last 12 months. It seems like he's got a partner in crime, and that is Bulldog.
He was injured.
Where
He was.
where is he? What's going on
but
underneath
he
it?
reported to training in Austria, and then that's another. I think he was on the team sheet, I believe, against Botev.
Was he?
I think he was on the team sheet.
He came to us late with a calf injury, but I think he might have played a couple of friendlies. No.
No, he
No,
didn't.
no, he didn't play.
Okay.
I think he went to the training in Australia. He sort of showed up. They did the old slap on their head when they run through the players, and then he went straight to the nightclub that night, and he hasn't been seen since.
I think he got injured when they just started patting him on the head.
But all jokes aside, I am quite concerned with that
He was
signing.
listed as a sub. He was listed as a sub against Botev. Oh, my eyes didn't deceive me. He was listed as a sub, so he's probably still not that 100% yet. But yeah, it's a good shout. But I've got Vayanidis ahead of him anyway.
Oh, 100%, no question about it. Yeah, bizarre signing to begin with, and yeah,
Well,
I've just got my
it was a
concerns.
it was a Terim and Alafuso signing, that Greek idea. I think this one went
Yeah.
past Papadim. So
All the national team
yeah,
players they wanted. Yeah.
so yeah. All right, boys. I think we can end it on that note. Yeah, I got to mention Papadim at least once um in this chat, but we got Ajax up against them and their 40-year-old goalkeeper. I forgot to mention that they do operate with a 40-year-old goalkeeper with grey hair, ponytail. So that alone begs for us to put quite a few against them. So Metiniki,
Yeah. Bummy,
we
let's.
understand the
Yeah.
significance now of why we need to beat Ajax. Gets harder if we don't progress against Ajax. Um, hopefully when the next podcast is recorded, that the boys get to just talk about the victory and the gun left wing that we've signed and all positive news because that's what we always want.
Agreed. 100%.
We cop the short end of the straw, don't we? Us Aussies.
That's all right. We were the bearer of bad news with the lens, and then let's hope with the game coming up. It's all positive news. And it shows that we're back in Europe, or else it's going to be a long season. Start planning for the Greek League and pray against Lens. So with that, thank you, boys. Pleasure to speak to you. Let's hope for positive results. Take
Yeah.
care.
Thanks, Serge, Nick.